why. I'll tell you why real quick. So I was in a really high level coaching program with Dan Sullivan, strategic coach, and all he does is help entrepreneurs, which is a hard group of people to really crack the nut on. Generally, if you're growth minded, you tend to be out in the future. So you tend to be setting goals and driving hard, and like to the point where you can almost forget, and oftentimes we do, and I always do, we forget the little, medium, and big wins along the way. So we rarely give ourselves credit for like what good happened in the last week, what good happened in the last month, what good happened in the last quarter. So every time we get together, we're going to share good news. The side benefit is if one of you are doing something that is like rocking it, and you need to share it with us, I'll give you some a platform here to go a little bit deeper, even if we've got a topic today. So I can modify the topic for that. So positive focus. We're live in the Facebook group. Let's go. Production related win. Cameras on. It's funny. I'll see what the attendance is today. I should have done like goalsetting.ai or something. I should have put AI on the title because nobody wants to hear about goal setting. Chris, you got a positive focus?
Yep. Just hung up the phone, getting under contract. We got two beautiful listings that we've been sitting on for 6 weeks. They're like priced well, look gorgeous, and nothing happened. In the last 5 days, they both have 3 interested parties. We might have multiple offers coming. So like, I don't know what happened in the last 5 days or if anybody else is feeling that or it's a fluke or what, but like people just like came out of the woodwork.
That's awesome. So 6 weeks, so 42 days on market, and they're like, man, they've been sitting forever. It's crazy what a market like this will have you think about days on market.
For sure. And we're getting, one of them's getting list price and one's 10 grand below. So, I mean, it's not like tell your sellers to just, we got to just roll with a little bit of patience maybe here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember when I made the shift in my business from my first 2.5 years was mostly just working with buyers. And then I made the shift to, focusing on sellers as I brought in, some buyer agent support, and it was a crap show of a market. So this was like 2009, 10, 11. I remember I got up to 92 listings, and it was awful. Like I didn't want to call them. I didn't want to they hated me because the market was so bad. It was like 20 months of inventory, and none of it was like short sale or, REO. It was all just grinded out people that wanted prices from 3 years ago sort of thing. And I was kind of new to the business, so I didn't know hardly what I was doing, but I cut my teeth pretty fast on that. But that's really good. Does anyone know if anything happened with like a little blip in the rates? Like maybe the Fed not raising rates at the last meeting got some buyers off the sideline. Does anyone? I still want positive focus though. No one's in the chat yet. Did nobody put a positive focus in? Everybody go to the chat and put a positive focus in. Last 7 days, one thing that happened awesome. Little, big, whatever. I want to hear from all of you guys. And I didn't even finish the story about positive focus. So looking for the positive things on a regular basis, we would have our team members, when they joined my real estate team, there was a 21-day positive focus that we would take them through, where they would have to write down 10 positive things that happened in that day for 21 days straight. And essentially it can rewire you to this psychology of contentment, versus like you're always not where you need to be. So it's a really powerful tool that you guys can use in so many ways. Like you wake up, you write down 3 things you're grateful for. You end the day with 3 amazing things that happened today. That's the 5-minute journal. If you've never used the 5-minute journal, it's super powerful. It's a little app on your phone. Really, really powerful. All right. And someone, Jerry, you want to unmute yourself and share? Or are you just saying preach?
Yes.
I thought you were putting your hands up like preach.
I do that too. Well, business has been slower and I've been focusing on systems, but inside systems, I realized that, throughout my years and all the deals that I closed, I was not collecting reviews. So I've been on a mission to go into the past and get a review from every last deal that I've ever closed, including rental deals.
Nice. That's amazing. Yeah, that's whole social proof as a lead gen lever is a legit strategy, and way to fill your time with, maybe not in the moment seemingly dollar productive activities, but when someone goes to your Google reviews or your Zillow reviews and they see that you have X number of reviews, it definitely makes a difference. That's awesome. I love that. Troy Martinson, where are you? Can you unmute yourself? Put a measly 4 listings this week into his MLS. Can you share a little bit about how awesome you are?
Yeah. I don't feel awesome, but I did get 4 listings this week put up. So
so let's literally, do you really mean that? Do you feel like, the first half of this year was a tough year, but do you feel like, are you normally regularly stopping and saying like, holy cow, I put 4 listings on the market last week? That's good.
I'm very thankful. My business is doing better this year than it has in the last several. And I had great years prior to this. So I'm doing great this year. I think I'm just focusing a lot more attention and time on video, calling past clients, calling agents, just focus. My focus is just, I'm just trying to stay focused.
Yeah. Awesome. Was there any truth to you having the best year, a really good year?
Yes.
In a really, if I talk to 100 decent agents, 80 are having a worse year this year than last year. So you're having a better year.
Yes, that's correct.
Is there a part of you that is feeling like you're not where you're supposed to be?
I just, I'm surrounded by guys like you that are just always crushing it. So it's, I'm always so far out of reach that I'm just like, how are these guys so good? And I've been in business a long time. I feel like an underachiever. I've had my license since '96, and I'm with all these kids that have been in the business 10 years that are doing twice the business. So
yeah, and
I'm just trying to live up to the people I surround myself with.
Yeah, just make sure you do it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Make sure you do it in a way where it inspires you and it draws you to something better in a healthy way versus you literally feeling like you're never going to be as good as, because some of the people you think have got all their stuff together, you don't know what is going on with them.
You're right.
You don't know if their bank accounts are where they need to be, if their marriage is strong, if their faith is strong, if they kick their dog when they go home, if they don't spend time with their kids. There was this guy, I'm trying to think of maybe he's on this call. Maybe I shouldn't mention the story. I won't mention it just in case he's on this call. But I would imagine, so I'll put it on me for a second. So I can look at I've got a couple businesses. They're not where I want them to be. I don't think I've done what I need to do this year in certain respect. But then I look at like holistically at my life and the travel I've done. I've spent more time with my kids this year than like ever. I go to the YMCA like 4 times a week with my daughter, or work out like twice a week with my son. And I spend time to and from volleyball, and I travel with my wife, and we're like in our morning routine together. I'm down 35 pounds. But if I measured like the income that I'll probably make this year, it's probably going to be less than last year, and my coaching business is not where I want it to be. All agents are freaking out, kind of for paid coaching. But so if I look at one thing, I could maybe say, Tom Ferry has $100 million coaching company. I'm a slacker,
Right.
but I really try not to do that. So I'm using Troy as an example because I know him. I know he can handle this, but make sure you guys don't fall into the trap. All you can control, two things I want to mention is that the same strategic coach guy, Dan Sullivan, this was an expensive program. It was like $5,000 for a day. He said that, so we're all here in this moment. good, bad, or indifferent. Our relationships, our physical health, our financial snapshot, the number of hours we're working, the stress that we feel, our mental well-being. And we have this amazing opportunity to just use everything we've done in the past, which is a whole lot of bad stuff, mistakes and things that we could have done differently, woulda, shoulda sort of stuff. But we can use all of that to fuel the future. So I don't know, there's something about that makes me feel, it gives me a sense of peace, is that, I'm 10 years into business coaching. I'm, 17 years into real estate. I don't focus, on real estate sales, but, and I'm only 3 years into growing an EXP organization. And now I've got like 10, I know, super strong focused years that I have like 30 years of professional experience to bring to bear in the next 10 years. And then realistically, if I take care of myself physically, I'm probably going to still be active between 61 and 70. So I don't know, hopefully there's some encouragement there, because this is an industry where you've got people driving around in cars they can't afford, posting all their crap on social that makes you feel like, why don't I ever go on vacation? Or, you don't know that they're like working the whole time they're on vacation. I don't think Stacy is on here right now. I don't see her. She has got the best story, and I'll tell you guys, and I'm sort of off track here, but it fits in with this whole conversation about goals. Stacy Peterson, who was the first person to ever literally give me money to coach her. She called me on a Friday after she saw me at another coaching event. I was on stage and I got, an award, and she called me up. She's like, hey, could you coach me? And I said, call me back. I was on a mission trip at the time. I said, call me back on Monday. I'm starting a coaching company. She's like, there's zero chance. He's like, he happens to be starting a coaching company. So anyway, I've known Stacy. She was my first client back in 2013. She's been, I helped her triple the size of her business, get out of production, ultimately sell that business. And she's kind of done really, really cool things. But she had a friend that she was talking to on the phone. So imagine Stacy talking to a friend, and the friend is just like totally, maybe it's truthful, but totally saying like, my husband is essentially like garbage. Like he's just this and this. And it's just, and she could have legit challenges in her marriage, which is totally fine to open up to your friend about that. So that part's actually okay. Within 10 minutes of getting off the call, this same friend that Stacy was on the phone with posts a picture on Facebook or Instagram, like the hashtag best husband ever, hashtag blessed, family photo that looks perfect, right? So it's like, it's all an illusion. And I feel like, especially in our industry, we try to put up this front to have people think that we've got it all together. This is going to seem very random, but this is more for the ladies out there. And I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I will, since my wife actually wrote a book. I think she makes like 50 cents a copy if you buy it. It's called Picture Perfect. And I'm going to share my screen because it is like the funniest thing ever. So I recommend so she goes through like 5 pitfalls in the book. But can you guys see my screen here?
Yes.
So this picture here, this was the biggest crap show of a day. This is our family portrait. And this was probably Anders' 5, Kendall's 3, maybe. So Anders is 15 now. So 10 years ago. It is October. This is our fall picture. We knew it was going to be on the Christmas card. It's 1,000 degrees. We're in Uptown Charlotte. I am literally pitted out, like the big sweat stains all over my shirt. They had to be photoshopped afterwards. Kendall's losing it. You can see Anders is the only one in the game here. And our photographer sent us this picture almost as a joke. And we sent this out to 500 people. Because nobody, like the whole family portrait thing, it's nice. So I'm not picking on anybody. We've done it, But like, this is the reality of people's lives, and anything they tell you, for the most part, unless you know them well, or anything they share online, 90% of the time is not reality. So really just watch yourself and guard your hearts against stuff like that, because it's going to get the best of you. It's going to have you thinking consistently that you're not where you need to be, and you're not good as this person or that person. And if you study social media at all, my wife did a deep dive. She did a talk on this. She did a deep dive on the effects of social media, the psychological, effects of social media are that there is, mild depression. You're constantly going in there and you're seeing the highlight reel of everyone. And, Julie will go on social media. She's deleted Instagram, my wife, Instagram and Facebook from her phone. She'll go in there and just see like older friends of hers that she doesn't even hang out with. They'll be doing like a girls' trip to like Charleston. And she'll be like, I wasn't even invited. And just in a moment, and then she moves to the next thing. And then she sees some girl that's like, oh, I lost all this weight. And Julie's like, crap, I'm still on my weight loss journey. And then she goes to another picture, and you're not really thinking about it all the time, but you are thinking about it. In real estate, it's like the year end, like, oh, I just want to thank the 7,982 families that we helped this year. Humbly, I present this Facebook post just as a thank you to all the people that make me awesome. Like, those posts aren't about thanking the people that they helped. They're about making the person that posts them look good and have all the likes. And that's literally the reason for those posts. So anyway, I could not be more off track right now, but hopefully there's something. Yeah, hopefully there's something good.
Yeah.
In this for you guys. All right, so let me get back to positive focus, and then we're going to do some goal setting stuff, which is going to be awesome. So hopefully I didn't miss too many people. One of our team members who had been pretty dry on deals for the past 4 months got 3 homes under contract over the weekend. Michael Wagon, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell me about this. So, was it an existing team member that just went dry, or a new agent that was ramping up? Give me the background and what level of effort that they need to put in over those last 60, 90 days to get 3 homes under contract.
Yeah, it's actually a guy who's been doing, he's been doing real estate longer than you and I have. And it was, so for months, it's been like talking through, trying to help him, talk him off the ledge about what am I doing wrong, all this stuff. And so we kept telling him to just stay on the horse, just keep working, stay positive every day, keep talking to these folks. And it was 1 buyer and 2 listings that had been kind of hanging around for months and months, kind of like you just talked about, people who'd been on the market for months and were like squawking at them like, what's going on? And we just tried to keep them positive and keep them moving forward. And finally, everything just kind of perfect storm in 1 weekend. And he was getting pretty down and dejected. So it was good to see him. And then it's good to share that with our team. Like, hey, look, here's evidence. Just stay positive, keep moving. Good things happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, just the only way to lose in real estate, I feel like, is if you're not in the game, and it's hard. I think it was Justin Ford shared a story of a new agent who, like, brand new, and he's like, keep making the calls, keep making the calls, keep making the calls, 4 months in, but then he got like 4 listings in a week or something. Or something. I'm probably messing up the exact story, but it takes a massive amount of effort to get this thing rolling, and then still a lot of effort to keep it going. But it's like the analogy that Zig Ziglar uses with the hand pump with the water. Like, if that water's 400 feet down, if that first deal, or you let all the water go back down because you gave up on your new business development, you're going to have to pump that freaking well for 30, 60 days with no water coming out. But then once the water comes out, it's on, like, just keep it going, 2 to 3 hours a day, half hour, 2 to 3 hours a day of lead generation, half hour a day of new business development, and the water will keep coming out. At Build in Texas in August, one of the guys, I forget who it was, but it was interesting. He kind of boiled it down. And this guy has coached like tens of thousands of agents. he boiled it down to like an easy formula for your success in real estate. If you do 1 hour of laser focused new business development a day, you'll probably do a deal a month. It might take you a little bit longer time to ramp up. If you do 2 hours laser focused a day, you're probably going to hit 2 deals per month. If you do 3 hours a day, that's where you hit that 3+. And I'm talking laser focused, like 20, 25, 30 meaningful conversations a day. That's going to take about 3 hours. And then your lead follow-up is maybe a 30 to 45-minute time block. It's on a real estate team, it's almost easier to herd the cats. That's what we'd call it on our team. It's if we could keep agents between the hours of 8 and 12 as focused on new business development as possible, we can let them go at noon because they're going to be busy. They're not going to, have all this wasted time in the afternoon because they're setting appointments for themselves in the morning. The problem is that we are our own bosses, a lot of us, and we don't have the accountability and structure of our brokers. For the most part, don't give it to us, and if you're not in an environment where you're getting that accountability in the daily cadence, you are managing yourself. And that's typically not a great, not a great recipe for the constant, work that needs to be done. So, all right. Jeff Lewis, $1.4 million listing. That's amazing. I think my highest sale ever was 1.2 million. So I don't even know what 1.4 million is like. And it was my last closing ever back in 2012. Benson says, starting to work with a couple cash buyers looking at $1 million plus listings. Working on processes, very excited to see what's coming. Awesome. Yeah, systems and processes are the whole game. Not real estate related, but just got back from an out of town outreach. 36 people gave their life to Jesus. That's awesome. I was in Nepal last week. That's why I didn't make this call. And we saw like 30 baptisms, and it was just amazing. That is really, really awesome. Watch Childhood 2.0 on YouTube. Very eye-opening when it comes to our kids. I'm going to write that down. I don't even know what it is, but it sounds good. I want my kids to be 2.0 and not 1.0. Awesome. What else? And then we'll get after here. 6 agents. Our agent put 6 deals under contract. Nathan, unmute yourself real quick. Give me the 1 or 2 or 3 minute backstory to how an agent puts 6 deals under contract. Massive mindset shift. Give me something.
She did it in 10 days. And she said 2 months ago, she was sitting there feeling sorry for herself and blaming everyone, blaming our systems, blaming the market, the rates, our leads sucked, the nines. And she said, I stopped for a second and just really had to have a get real checkup with myself. And she said she wrote down on a piece of paper on one side 10 things that she thought she should be doing every day. And on the left side, she wrote down what she was actually doing. And she said it was literally 10%. And she said, I just realized that I needed to show up completely differently. And on top of showing up differently, I needed to wake up every morning with my head out of my ass, with a smile on my face, ready to attack the market. And that mind shift, it took her 2 months of mind shift of plugging in. And she's been off to the races. She put 6 deals under contract in 10 days. And she's adding a contract every week. She's on our leaderboard every week. And she said, I just had to have a gut check about, because all the doom and gloom, you're hearing it everywhere. She said, my customers, I realized, needed me more than ever before. And she said, I just started being extremely regimented and also kind of just studying the market, studying how we still have a lack of inventory, studying, taking advantage of seller rate buy downs and different credits, and just put a spin on the market. And it's working for her now. But she said she just showed up with incredible diligence every day and would map out her calendar and actually stick to it with a huge regimen. And she was able to, but the biggest thing of all is her mindset shift. And in addition to the tasks that she knew she had to do, she said, I just started waking up with the right positive attitude that I was going to pull this off. And she's doing it every day now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you guys are going to see more of Nathan. We've been working a little bit behind the scenes to get him more active in this mastermind. He is a beast unlike no other. I'm going to save your story for next month. What day you're on next month? I forget.
I'll be the 24th.
24th. Yeah. So he's going to go into, he's crushing new construction. He's got like 10 things he wants to teach this group. He sells like, I don't know, $1 billion worth of real estate a year, all in. What will it be this year?
This year is a tough year as we're all facing, but we're still on schedule to close about 250 million.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So you guys will be hearing more from him, but that's such a good story. I mean, the irony of that is this is the market you can accelerate, but you could easily tell yourself this is the market that you're going to lose in, right? So if you're involved in the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and you're listening to news that is having you think that the world is going to end and the recession is going to come and the housing market, like all of, and I'm in some of those channels, so I see it. You're not going to show up every day looking to get after it. So most agents are just going to resign to, it's just a bad market. And, but then I ask them like, well, is it a bad market, or like, what have you done over the last 90 days? Have you actually done, blocking and tackling new business development? And 9.9 out of 10 times they just literally haven't done the work, and they're just resigning. So I think it's going to be a really challenging 2 or 3 years. I think income is going to be way down, just the available income in every market. I think a lot of agents are going to still continue to get mind screwed by this market and bow out of being in real estate. And I think that's just the opportunity. I came up in a really horrible market and I didn't consume any news, and I just put my head down. I'm like, okay, I have to talk to 20 people today. So how many dials is that? How much time will it take? I wasn't willing to not succeed. So hopefully you guys can embrace that. Yeah, the best lead source are everyone you already have in your cell phones. That is the truth right there. And who was it? Joni said, I found that people want to do business with people they know. And Nathan just said, this example, that agent needed to show up better for her sphere and to educate. All of your clients are going into this fear mode and thinking that the headlines are real. Like foreclosures are up 250%. Yeah, they're up from 100,000 to whatever, 250,000 or whatever, but 250,000 is still half of the normal rate of foreclosures in the US. So the headlines are always going to pull something that it's going to make you click on it, and it's not the actual truth. Really, really good. Power of Your Words, great book. I love that. Won a bidding war, got a multifamily investor client. Awesome. Yeah, I'm finding, Brittany, that sphere and people you already know is where you're going to win the game in a market like this. Your database referral marketing, that's going to spin itself a little bit into social media and social proof, giveaways that are vendor sponsored. But just expand the people that know you and get more impressions out there. All right, so let me get after. Hopefully that was helpful. I kind of sideswiped a little bit, but we're going to get after this part of the conversation today. So who here, let me put you guys on the big screen. I'm going to get as many cameras on if you're able. By the way, we have, how many people are on here? I can't see that screen. I need at least one full screen of people. So cameras on so I can get at least one full screen. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Who here has not, raise your hand if you have not heard of goal setting. Raise your hand if you have not heard of goal setting. Okay, so no hands are raised. I didn't even get a smile out of anyone. What's wrong with you guys? That was supposed to be like partly funny. I guess it just wasn't funny. My point of saying that is that this is easily one of the things that you could just put a checkbox on and get on your phone right now and say, like, I totally understand, goal setting and all of that. But I would push you to revisit this like you're learning this for the first time. And maybe, I don't like you to focus on negative things, but maybe as you're going through this, think of a goal you've set that you haven't achieved. And to remind yourself that everyone needs to dial in this work here. So let's get after it here. We're going to go through, I'm going to have you guys, I think I'll have time to go through and actually go through the process of setting a really good goal. So I'm gonna go through some of the stuff that I think I can get through a little bit faster, because I want to, at the end of this, I want to hear open and honest feedback from some of you that you set goals every year, maybe personal or professional or both, and generally you don't achieve them. And maybe what's one thing that you took away from this that you know is going to help you do a better job going forward. All right, let me make sure I have my chat up here. You guys keep chatting as we go through this, and I'll monitor the chat. All right, so if you guys haven't read the book, this is one of the book. If you're in Real Estate B School, in our paid coaching program, one of the books, I send out 2 books. I think we still send out these 2. E-Myth Revisited and Atomic Habits. So this is a quote from Atomic Habits, James Clear: becoming the type of person you want to become, someone who lives by a stronger standard, someone who believes in themselves, someone who can be counted on by the people that matter to them, is about the daily process you follow and not the ultimate product you achieve. So back to Troy, putting him on the spot a little bit about, he feels like he's behind. It's just about what you do today. And to me, that's really, really liberating. Hopefully that makes it not feel as overwhelming. You can only control today, if that, right? And so the question I have for you as you decide if you're really going to dig in, and hopefully you do, are you really making consistent progress toward meaningful goals in the areas of life and business that really matter? I go through an annual process where I'm setting about 5 really meaningful goals in a couple businesses and a few areas of my life that I want to focus on. And to me, they're meaningful, and I generally achieve them. And I didn't at first, because I didn't really understand the power of what I'm about to go through. So why does this matter? Most of us, in at least one area of our life, there's a point where things aren't going the way that we want them to go, right? So if it's your production business, or if it's in your physical body, or your marriage, or whatever, your financial life, we get to a point where we're ready for a change. And we think that growth is just going to happen. Growth, me left to the way I am, it's more like this. Like I can watch TV like a champ. I can certainly eat potato chips, like a champ. We all resign to, whatever lazy part of us, quote unquote, whatever that looks like for you, or whatever distracts you. So growth is not a given. And you put on top of that most of us are managing a relationship, with a spouse. Most of us, raise your hand if you have kids. So it's like 80%, maybe more than 80% have kids on this one screen here. So, and then we're all in real estate. We all have decided we're showing up to these calls because we want to do an unfair share of production. So that's insanity, right? And maybe we want to work out, maybe we want to spend time with God. So we're taking on the insane in a world where you could let real estate infiltrate every part of all of the other time you could give to it. It could infiltrate all of it. And so it is something we need to take serious and do extreme measures. But like I said, when I started out this training, there are no secrets here. I'm going to give a slightly different spin on an acronym that I know you've heard before, the SMART goal setting. So that I'm going to give you a different spin on it that really helped me set goals better when I learned it. But this isn't going to be something like, I learned goal setting today. Like, SMART, blah, blah, blah. My goal here today is to help you achieve a goal that has been hard for you to achieve in the past. And to learn a discipline and a process for goal setting that you can actually use going forward. So let's get into a little bit in terms of what you should know. Another quote here: goal setting is a system. So a quote from the same book, Atomic Habits: you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Once you understand that, everyone needs to get this book. Once you understand that, and this is for every area. So if I want to be successful in my marriage, I need some systems around that. I need a weekly date night in my calendar. I need, intimacy time. I need a quarterly, I need to send my wife away alone 6 times a year. I give her that present every year. Like, go to a nice hotel alone for every other month. I need, an annual honeymoon. I need all these things to make sure, but they're all in my calendar. It's all a system and it happens. So this applies to every area of your life. So the first thing, I think I've got 5 principles here, is that you need to choose the right goal. So it kind of goes without saying, but if you choose, like let's say your goal, is to like something that has to do in business with like your CRM, like changing CRM. That's my goal this year. I'm going to change my CRM and this is what it's going to look like. That just may not be the right goal. Your CRM, generally, we've had people scale to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of transactions with every CRM out there, right? So make sure you're focusing in on the right goal. And this one, raise your hand again if you're on my front screen. Raise your hand. I'm holding my hand up. If you have set a goal and not achieved it. Oh, I was gonna call Brandy out. She was slow to raise her hand, but she raised it ultimately. So everybody, right? And I think it's a combination of choosing the wrong goal. Maybe you only have capacity in the next quarter or the next year to literally choose one business goal and one personal goal. And your life could be changed forever as a result of it, right? But as high performers, we have a tendency to choose like 10 different goals. And we're going to run a marathon and I've done all this crap. I literally have done all this crap. And you can't commit to all of them. So the process that we're going to take you through is going to really look at what can you actually commit to? Because a real commitment is different, right? I'm at the point in my marriage, and I've always been at this point, but even more so now, where there's nothing that can happen in my marriage that I think would break that commitment. And I tell my wife, she said, it doesn't sound romantic, but it gives her so much peace when I say to her, honey, I'm going to die married to you unless you die first. And I'm not going to kill you. And she says, that's one of the sweetest things you ever say that gives me comfort is like, I am committed to you no matter what, like we are in it. There's nothing that can happen. So we choose these goals that we're not quite committed to. Like January 1st, I'm going to lose weight. My goal is to get from, I've made this goal every freaking year. I'm going to get from my 220 weight down to my 190 weight. And I've lost like 700 pounds over the last 20 years, but it's the same 30 pounds, so I've struggled with all of this stuff. You need to create an actual plan. So a lot of times we will set a goal. Let's use a weight loss goal. We'll say, I want to get from 220. I'm going to weigh, 182. That's my goal for the end of this year. And I started the year at 220. I actually, this year, I'm not going back this time. It's a detailed plan. It's like the diet that I'm going to use, the Lose It app that I'm going to commit to, a macro diet, the workouts that I'm going to do. It's very intentional and very deliberate. So if you make a business goal, it needs to be backed up by a solid plan, and you need to have confidence that you can actually execute the plan, right? So for some of you, it's as simple as the goal is, I want to get from 1 transaction to 2 or 3 transactions per month. Or if you're running a team, every agent on your team should make a production goal to double their production. And all it requires is the commitment to do that work every day. But to actually lay it out. So this is what it would look like. So Michael Wagon he's in production, but he's a team leader. So he has agents on his team that probably want to sell more homes, but do they have an actual plan to do it? And do they actually know what it's going to take to sell? And they probably do, but I'm just using him as an example. Is there actually a plan to achieve it? And is it a written plan? Did they write it out? And are they owning it? Right? So you can take anyone in your world through this and execute your plan and then achieve the results. So this is definitely one of those I think these are a little bit more impactful than like, of course you need a plan, Lars. Of course you need to execute the plan and then you get to achieve the results. I won't go through this, but this is my first business plan that I ever wrote. I overkilled this thing. I had all the mindset stuff on here. I had this laminated 20 times. And I don't know if I hit the numbers exactly. This was 2010. I think we only sold 118 homes. So I missed the 160 goal. But me having like lots of intentionality around like what I needed to do and break it down into the different things I needed to do and the quarterly and the monthly and my activities and the personal stuff on the back and all of that. You have to be able to write some of this stuff down. And this is like 6 areas of my life. So it's got personal stuff on it as well. But let's talk about how to get there. So a quote from Tony Robbins: excitement must lead to immediate action, or you will lose the power of momentum. More dreams die because we fail to seize the moment and do it now. So I think I've kind of covered this here, but you know, in terms of choosing the right goal, make sure it's in alignment with what you can actually achieve, right? So if you're just designing it the wrong way, it's not going to work the way that you intended. I've done this every year and I still struggle with this. I in the last couple of years, I think I figured this out. I have 5 goals. One of my goals this year was to get my son, instead of the 60 hours required in North Carolina, to get him 120 hours behind the wheel before he got his license, and he's at 170. It's my proudest. And my side motivation is I get all that time with him. So he's a 15-year-old. He doesn't want to spend any time with me hardly. So I get all that FaceTime with him in the car. So it could be something like that, but I knew it was going to happen. I just had to commit it to driving him both ways to volleyball. Took that over for my wife and I could calculate it out. And, you know, it's one of my 5 goals and it's meaningful. The other was my weight goal. And then I've got 1 business goal in 2 businesses and then a marriage goal. Right. So make sure you're not picking off more of them. And this one too. So what we do as growth-minded real estate agents is we will pick 5 goals. They'll be all business. And then we forget to do any other goals. So maybe you're in a situation in your personal finances where you've got some junk debt that you need to pay off. That should be a goal, right? Maybe you've let your physical body, you're not at the point where you can weather a 2 to 3 year storm just from an energy perspective and a vitality perspective. So that should be something that you focus on. Maybe your marriage, you've let it, maybe you're not like in divorce mode, but maybe you're drifting in your marriage and you need to bring that together over the next year. So that should be a goal. It's not all about business. So I would think if you're an agent in production, you probably have a couple of business goals, 1 financial goal, probably a physical health goal, and then a relationship goal. And I think that's probably about it. I don't recommend more than that. And you've got to use this process that we're going to go through to break them all down in that way. And then there's 2 different goal types here. One is to develop a habit. And they say 21 days, but I think there's like some study out of London or something that said it's actually like 66 days. So a habit goal could nest inside an achievement goal. So my achievement goal for my weight is to weigh 182. But a habit goal under there was to use the Lose It app. So all I need to do is put all my food in the Lose It app. And like when you start using that thing and you're tracking your macros and your calories and your workouts go in there, like it's just going to change the way. So the habit is I am at 124 days in a row I've used the Lose It app. Right. So that's the habit and it feeds into the achievement goal. Another habit goal for me was, you know, more generic, probably doesn't follow some of the rules, but I wanted to spend time with my wife reading devotionals in prayer. So the habit is, you know, we're going to sit down. First thing, we get the dogs up, kids are not up yet, and we spend that 30 to 45 minutes together. So that's the habit. And ultimately, that's part of my marriage achievement goal is that, you know, hard to measure, but I want to be closer to my wife every year rather than drifting. And then here's the acronym. And I want you guys, we're going to spend a little bit of time. You're going to pick one area of your life, one specific goal, and you're going to make sure that these are all satisfied in it. Inevitably, someone's going to miss out on the whole point of this. So please pay attention. It has to be specific. So, I want to make $1 million, right? So that's not helpful, right? It's not specific. It doesn't have any, or the even better one is I want to be in better health. I want to be in good shape. There's no specificity to it. So make sure it's specific so you can focus your efforts. It's got to be measurable, right? You have to be able to measure it. Like your debt is going to go, your credit card debt's going to go from 30,000 to 10,000 over the next 12 months, right? So it has to be like something you can actually measure so you can gauge your progress. Actionable, right? So it can't be like a feeling, so I used a bad example, like I want to be closer to my wife. It has to be something you can actually take action on. I guess if that makes sense. So it needs to be something you can take daily, weekly, monthly, you could track your progress on. And then risky. So I think in the SMART acronym, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think the R, there's 2 R's because we're doing smarter. So there's actually SMARTER. So 7 things I'll go through. I think in the original acronym, R was realistic. Yeah, realistic. Right. So when I learned this new process, it was changed to risky. So it needs to get you a little bit out of your comfort zone. So I get why there would be the realistic in there, but this is intended to get you out of your comfort zone because that's where all the growth happens. So make sure it's a little bit risky, and make sure it's time keyed, right? So what I've done in the past, and it's not as helpful, you can have a goal instead of giving you 12 months to achieve a goal when it's going to take 3 months. Do it in 3 months. Don't. Sometimes I'll have 5 big goals for the year, and I'll decide which quarters I'm going to focus on them. But generally, we have to have this thing time keyed. And then the E is exciting. So it can't be something that you look at and it doesn't get your juice flowing. That's another one generally that, let's say you're more of there's different types of agent. Let's say you're more of let's say you're not, I was never a cold caller, but let's say your goal is going to be, whatever. I want to list, I think expireds are coming back and I want to list, 5 expireds a month. That's my goal for, the next 3 months. But the thought of cold calling expireds is like, it's just not something you're ever going to get excited about, then you would never take on that goal. If you get excited about it and you're more like, I'm going to connect with, my goal is to get, 5 listings a month for the next 6 months, but it's going to be by expanding my database and adding value to my database. And there's activities I can focus on every day. That's a better approach than choosing something that, that doesn't get your juices flowed. And then make sure it's relevant. So this is a big one too. So have you guys ever, raise your hand if you've read the book by Stephen Covey, First Things First? It's like not his, Jim Fury is the only one. It's not his best known work, but I think it's really powerful. It talks about making sure, I think the example he gives in the book is like the new mom, so has like a 3-month-old and she wants to like crush it in business, and it's not her time to crush it in business. So it's like, make sure that the goals you set for yourself are in relation to your season of life and, what you value and that sort of thing. So I do recommend that book if you guys are consumers of books. So key motivations, I'll add another point here and start thinking of a goal. I want you guys to go through the smarter process right now and I want you guys to get in the chat and share some of them with me. We've got about 10 minutes. I do find that I struggle achieving anything unless I have like something that actually is motivating me toward it. And it will change over time, and it will be different over time. A motivation could be like, I am falling backwards financially. Yeah, there's two R's. It's relevant and risky. The first R is risky. The second R is relevant. So key motivations. Where was it? Was I saying? I haven't achieved anything unless I was inspired by something, or it's pain or pleasure, you know. So you could be in a bad situation financially, and that could be the motivation. And all you need to do is to step into your new business development time block is to think of the $67,000 of back taxes and credit card debt you have, and how you're letting your family down. Sounds super dark, but for some people, that's enough motivation. Or for my physical body, you know, what got me motivated, this is going to sound really morbid, but my dad suffered from a stroke in 2009. So he would have been like 62, I think 62. No, I forget his age, but anyway, he suffered a stroke that took him out. It's like a 5-year painful death to watch him die. But my motivation for a time there to get me in the habit of eating right and working out was just to think of, like, I had to take my kids to see him for 5 years in a row every weekend, and just declining health, you know? So my motivation is like, I don't want to be that for my kids. So a little bit morbid, but like, could I work out today? Of course I can. You know, could I find the time to work out today? Yeah, when I think of it that way. Right. So whatever trick you have to play for yourself. I've had guys, you know, print out, and I even have pictures of that I put on my desk back in the day to motivate me to do the things that maybe I didn't want to do. Just a picture of your family. You know, if that inspires you to focus and do the things you need to do today to achieve a goal you've set for yourself, that could be enough, you know, to make it happen for you. Some people, I mean, the material goals, I think, you know, for some people, I think if you haven't achieved financially yet, and those are something that will drive you, you know, a nice car or a nicer house or a big vacation, a nice vacation could be a great motivator. Like, hey, when I crush this goal, you know, I'm going to take a trip in the first quarter of 2025, right? Because I'm going to have all this extra money because I've done the things that I needed to do. And you plan the trip over the course of the year, you have vision boards about it, and you know, you can roll with it, and then just create an action plan. So any goal you set for yourself, put it in an amount of time where you can achieve it. So for me to go from 220 to 182, it probably wasn't an annual goal, but I made it take the whole year. I only started May 20th or 25th or something. So I kind of just like steady stated for like 5 months of being chubby. And then I got after it. And so I basically, what's the expression? I sandbagged it, right? So I should have set a 6-month goal. I should have said by June 30th, you know, I'm going to weigh 182 pounds, but instead I said 1231, you know? So, but it has to break it down into the daily. So that's where, you know, you've got to break it down into daily actions. Take the first step, and then ultimately do the work. So move my family to join a relational church because I wanted to have people at my funeral. That's interesting. I like that. All right. So either unmute yourself if you have any questions, or in the chat. I want everyone to go through this process in the chat, and given the context of how I laid this out, I want you to, especially these, choose the right goal, one that you can actually commit to, and one that you can put a real plan around. I want you guys to share in the chat what this is for you. If you have any questions, put them in the chat as well. If you're willing to be honest about where you've struggled in terms of goal setting in the past, that's good too. I'm happy to answer any questions. I haven't figured it all out. Number 5 over here.
Achieve results. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So that kind of goes without saying. So if you choose the right goal, if you are actually committed to it, like come heck or high water, this goal is happening. Like it's not negotiable. I think a lot of times I was talking to a guy that I'm working with closely, and I asked him just about his workouts. It was, if you guys were on the Monday coaching call, it's the same guy. So in the same call, I got him to delete his whole account from Twitter, and I got him to commit to working out Monday through Friday. And he's like, I'm like, are you working out? You know, do you have the energy to actually do the work that we're intending to do every day? He's like, no. Part of it was Twitter at night. And then, you know, he negotiates with himself every morning because he just hasn't committed to working out. So I think that's really important, that you need to pick a goal that you're not going to negotiate with yourself on a daily basis, whether or not you're going to do the activities to achieve it. So, all right. So Alyssa says, I want to sell luxury homes, at least three in a year. My problem is I don't know how to create a plan for this. Maybe I need to be more specific with my goal. So I don't know if Elisa, if you're with EXP, EXP has a luxury program. Yeah. So there are things, you know, so if your goal is to sell 3, and luxury is like, depending on how you measure it, it's 3 times or 2.5 times the average price point in your market, whatever metric you use. Ultra luxury is like, you know, the top like 5% maybe. You would just break it down, right? So the first step, you know, maybe there's 5 steps. First step is to talk to 10 agents at EXP that are selling more than 10 luxury homes a year. And you could easily find them, and they'd be happy in our brokerage. They'd be happy to help you, right? So that could be step number 1. And then you could say from those conversations, you're going to just distill the it could be like, it could be literally step by step. So the goal, let's use this one. So the goal is, you know, I'm going to sell 3 $1.5+ million homes in the next 12 months. It's definitely sounds like it's getting you out of your comfort zone. Luxury usually does. You know, it's time keyed. It sounds like if you want to play in that market, it'd be pretty exciting if you want to be in that world. And as long as it doesn't have a conflict where, you know, not that this is the right thing, but you're driving your like 1982 Datsun, you know, Datsun up to the front door. I'm not saying that is like, has to be part of it. I'm just saying, like, if it's conflicted with like who you are and you need to park 3 blocks away, then, you know, maybe that's probably a bad example, but yeah, as long as it follows these. So the plan is something that you're going to work on, right? So don't get too caught up on, the goal is very clear. Like, I'm going to sell 3 $1.5 million homes, buyer or sell side, in the next 12 months for, you know, whatever, you know, 2.5+% commission on each of them. And then it's like, I'm going to roll an EXP luxury. I'm going to talk to 10 agents. I'm going to hold other luxury listings open. I'm going to other agents luxury listings open. I'm going to, you know, you could easily come up with all the things you could do to double, triple that goal. Right. So, I like it. That's a good one. So Chris says, document and commit to building all systems and cadence in our team such the team can sell 50 homes. And okay, so this is where my sense is that this is a violation in some way. This is a boulder. So you know how you talk about like rocks and pebbles and sand? This is a boulder of a goal. My gut tells me it's missing something, but it might not be. It's not really specific. So all systems, you're going to build all the systems in 1 year, you know, so it's not, I break it down. There's lead gen, there's lead conversion. Lead conversion is nurture, and the buyer consultation framework, the listing consultation framework. There's, you know, inside lead generation, there's database and referral marketing, there's social proof, client care is a lead gen lever. You know, with your agents, there's the onboarding, the daily accountability. There's probably baked into that one statement is maybe 10 goals. So I would probably pick like 2 or 3 really foundational systems and bring it one level down. Because even like getting your agents to set goals, a goal could be getting your agents to set good goals and achieve them, and the daily cadence and the new business development, including lead gen and the mindset training and the daily reporting and account. You know what I mean? So all of these bake into like way more than we think they bake into. So chunk it down a little bit. I think that's my only like violation if I had to pick on you a little bit. And I know Chris can handle it. So it could be anything. So Jim, so as we're sitting here now, I want everyone to pick a goal that they're going to start working on right away. So it could be like big enough where, okay, I feel like it's going to take me the next 12 months to achieve this thing. But you can also chunk like, so if Chris had a bigger goal around systems and cadence, that's a good annual plan. You know, he could chunk the goals down into 90-day sprints, where each 90 days has like a specific rock or goal that you're chunking down. And like I said, for my examples, I only want to pick 5. They're 1 in each business, you know, 1 for my marriage, 1 for my physical body, and 1 for my finances. And I'm not going to have to really work on them all the time, all of them at the same time necessarily, because I do it in an annual process. So Jim, this feeds into any time you want to set a goal, but also if you do an annual process, then you're going to really, every quarter you're looking at those 5 goals and like, did you move it forward this quarter? Is this the quarter you focus on your physical body? Is this the quarter you focus on your marriage? Maybe your marriage is going to take 5 extra hours a week and you can't lose the 20 pounds that you wanted to. So you're going to do marriage in Q4 23, and then first quarter you're going to get after the physical body when you've got the cadence in place and you've pulled the marriage, you know, back on track. And I don't know if that's specific to Jim, so nobody think that his marriage is crap by me saying that. I need to ask my husband to buy me a Mercedes. Yeah, that could be a really good motivator. Seriously, like if yeah, so let's say there's that dynamic in the marriage, like you're whatever, I'm going to make it up, but your husband's like, you're not making enough money in real estate. And like, all right, well, if I go from 100K GCI to 250K GCI next year, you're buying me a Mercedes. And he'll say game on, right? So that literally could be a game that you play with yourself. And just make sure it's smarter, you know, and you guys are clear on it. I get spouses involved a lot in terms of accountability. Even daily accountability, even burning money if they don't do what they're supposed to do daily. I just want to get started, licensed 6 weeks and excited about the future. Working on cold calls, building CRM, training it and creating a schedule. It's a whole new life for me. The getting started is challenging. So the cool thing about when you've got all of the stuff to do, you may potentially dilute your efforts. Depending on, and I know Michael is smiling too, because he's in this world, and he is literally like, he's peppering everyone in Real Estate B School with one, and I say it lovingly, Michael, but he's got 1,000 questions on, I want to do 1,000 things because I want to crush this and monetize the whole thing, right? And blow it up. The less you do, the better. So spending, if you viewed your network of people you know as an annual $1 million income pillar, you would probably focus on just building your database, adding value to it, having those conversations on a regular basis. And a lot of your business can come from that. If you're okay with another lead gen lead source, you know, I don't love home search leads. They definitely still work. And I'm going to run over on time. I don't have anything right now. If you guys have to bow out, I want to finish out this conversation. So I'll just go a little bit longer. It's definitely, I think it's building the database, you know, figuring out the taking what we do on the monthly market updates. And Michael, you haven't seen us do one of those yet, but we do Keeping Current Matters monthly, where you get a bunch of content about the market and you can use it on social media and drip it out over time. I would do those things. People in your database, which includes your social media presence, they have to view you as an expert. monthly market overview, using that same data and some local data, Facebook Lives, all of that stuff that you'll learn over time. I would focus on all of that stuff. We had Jessica Buchanan come on and teach an open house system where in any market, if I go grab that training, Michael, we had someone come on a few weeks ago that used that training that got 4 million plus contracts out of a single open house using that system. You can hold other agents' houses open, even from other brokerages. So having been through that training recently, I was never an open house guy. If I had to build a business now locally in my market, it would be database and referral, and I would hold 2 open houses a week. I would just go like beast mode on open houses, 50 signs up. I would figure out how to market on social media. I probably wouldn't be great at it the first 4, 5, 10 that I did, but by the 30th I did, 15 weeks in, I'd be getting a contract out of every open house. I'd have it so dialed in that it would produce 50 transactions for me in 12 months. I would do open houses and my database. Some people are like, I don't want to do open houses. So then you just have to pick something else, right? So that's really good. All right, I kind of got off track there, but goal, create a time block schedule based on what's truly important for biz today. Commit to it and execute with no excuses for the next 30 days, and renew the goal vow each month. So that's not really a goal. It could be a habit. So you'd have to break it down into a habit. So I would challenge you, Michael, to be a little, and Brittany says, I love this one. And so I guess I'm picking on Michael here. So without disrespecting Brittany, because she loves it, I would say if it's a habit goal, it's like, I'm going to commit to the habit of whatever it is, right? So if it's a time block schedule, it's like 3 hours of new business, laser focused new business development every day, Monday through Friday, a minimum of 20 meaningful conversations in each of those time blocks, versus like, I'm going to create a time block schedule. Because a time block schedule, you can create a time block schedule, but it doesn't have enough meat on it where you can actually tell if you do it or not. So I know your intent, but try to get a little bit more specific about what's the one thing you're really after. Where are you struggling? Are you giving up the new business development time for active buyers in the morning? Are you going into files when you should be, creating new business? Like, what's the actual thing you're trying to solve? And let's get specific about that, if that makes sense. 14 homes in the next 6 months at 3%. I think that's probably makes you uncomfortable as a newer agent. It's definitely, it probably hits everything. Just make sure when you plan it out, when you have the action plan behind it, you're not overwhelming yourself with all the things you could do, because you've got access to B School and you have 10 different things you could do to generate 14 transactions. If you do 3 or 4 of the things, you probably will sell less homes than doing 1 or 2 of the things, which is a weird thing to wrap your head around, but we've seen it over and over again. Clean up my CRM and commit to a business plan and doing cold calling for 1 hour a day. So those are a few all in one. So cleaning up the CRM. So let's get it specific would be, so I'm going to go through my entire CRM in the next 90 days, contact by contact, making sure I have full name, full email address, and full mailing address. And then the plan would include, I'm going to do this in 30-minute time blocks a day. So there's more, the cleanup CRM, commit to a business plan, and then cold calling for 1 hour. Those are 3 different in the same one. So you may just been giving us an overview of what you're thinking about. Doing the process of a business plan isn't a goal necessarily, because the business plan is going to give you the goals that come out of it. If you've never done a business planning process, that it could be like, okay, create the business plan and follow it, and there could be some habits to achieve in there. Joe says, my newest goal was a new commitment to a new calendar. Time block calendar has 2 1-hour time block for systems built in, started 1 week ago on a 3-month test. Daily struggle, just added alerts. Yeah. The whole game of building a level of income and freedom from stress and time freedom is about hurting yourself every day. So it's easier when an agent is on a team because they generally know that they're better off in your environment but you left to yourself or me left to myself. It's hard for me to do the things that I need to do. So that's really good. So build my team correctly, 5+ producing agents and get out of production. So that is broad, Troy. So I'd probably get a little bit more specific. So, by 12/31/2024, my goal is to sell 50 transactions. I'm only doing SOI, so paint a more specific picture of it. Because building the team correctly, that could be like a multi-year. You'd set it too far out and you'd lose steam. Because you're like, wait, what's my goal again? Build a team correctly is like, it's like build a financial empire. My goal is to build a financial empire. It's like, what does that even mean? Or my goal is to achieve financial freedom. What does that even mean? For some people, it could mean, I want to have residual income of $3,000 a month. For some, it could mean $30,000 a month. So put some dates around it and get specific. Kira says, if we have not been good at recruiting good agents, what's a realistic goal? Recruit as much. This is a good one. So whether it's for revenue share or for your team, the goal should be something like, let's assume it's for revenue share. And this is a production related call, but it's the same exact thing. The goal will be, I will attract, 5 capping agents into my organization by June 30th, 2024. It's a really good goal. I know it puts you out of your comfort zone. I know it's probably all the 7 things I would envision. Then the plan is all the stuff behind that. So that's probably, I need to show up every Thursday for the agent attraction mastermind. I need to, or if let's say it's general recruiting, it's going into the toolbox. There's like 4 or 5 really good trainings in there. I need to consume those trainings. I need to get some ads out there for agents. I need to create some, value-added collateral to agents. You could break it down, from there, but the goal, and then if you're committed to the goal, you will figure it out. I promise, I know you, and you'll figure out how to get there. But it usually involves just plugging into something that's already happening. That makes
Lars,
sense.
what about the team? It does make sense. Thank you. What about team? You say the same thing in
Same
regards
thing.
to
Just like Troy. So if the goal is to, it usually starts with a production goal. So if the goal is to sell 100 homes next year, and you're going to need 5 producing agents plus yourselves to do that, husband and wife team. The goal to me would probably be like, I want to sell 100 homes is the goal in 2024. And then you'd break it down. The plan would include, recruiting really, a few productive agents. And to do that, you have to have the recruiting system in place. And Real Estate B School has all of that stuff. If that makes sense. I only recruited 1 agent in my first year and then 3 agents in my second year. So I went from 44 as a solo agent to 58 with my first recruit the late part of that year. I had like 3 agents on my team to get to 118 with me doing a good part of the production, and then like 1 or 2 more agents to get to 178. So having the system in place to bring agents into is almost a little bit more important than just throwing agents into the hopper. Clean up.
Lars.
Yep.
I heard on one of your trainings that you had used 1 lead source, 1 script, and you did 1 activity your first year in order to get those 44 houses.
My first like 3 years.
That's what you did your first 3 years?
Yep.
And what was your lead source? Just your marketing database?
No, and the reason in that video I didn't go into specifics because it could be different for everybody. So for
Gotcha.
me, back in those days, home search leads were actually decent. Like it was new at that time where people actually gave good contact information. You know, like 60% of the people that registered, you know, for a giveaway or whatever, gave me their actual phone number, and I just called them up. So I generated leads and called them up. We still have members doing 10x ROI on paid home search leads. So if you're a techie and you like systems and you got to pick up the phone as a customer service call, but it's generally texting and videos and making sure they get properties. And you could turn just a home search Google pay-per-click into a 10x ROI machine. So you pick the one thing, but my point is that you could make one thing, you know, if you make it your one thing, you can get to 100 transactions on one thing.
Like the open house.
Yeah, exactly. But generally we don't stick with one thing long enough. You know, Brent Gove did like 400, 500 transactions a year, and like 40% of them, 50% of them were from open houses. You know, and he just got really good at open houses. It matched his personality. He would, you know, get 100 people in the open house. He'd have a lender there. He'd get on the countertops. If you know him, he's just way out there, and he would just make an event of it. Right. But for some of us, I want to be the Wizard of Oz. I want to be behind the curtain. I don't want to be the ring. I don't want to be the P.T. Barnum, you know, guy. So you just got to pick the one thing that you know you can get to 2, 3, 4 transactions per month, and then just stick with it long enough until you get to that point. Your database is always building in the background, and there's only one other lead gen lever really that needs to be there for you to get to 25, 50 transactions, 75, 100 transactions. And then the discipline to do the work every day that most agents aren't willing to do. So, all right, guys, I think I've worn out my welcome. Lock my phone in a safe every evening at 9 o'clock to force me to slow down. So I love that one. Focus on my kids and go to bed earlier. That's amazing. Yeah, we all struggle with that. I had to delete like so much off of my phone, and I actually got a second phone, a little iPhone 12 mini. Open houses, time blocking. I struggle with spending way too much time and living beyond my means. Since getting saved, I have been reading a lot about being a good steward. That's amazing. So my main focus is getting caught up on bills and paying them off. I have over 160,000 of debt. I appreciate, Shauna, you sharing that. That's not an easy share, which doesn't include my mortgage. Shauna, did I mention the other day, are you still on here? Yeah. Did I mention Ramit, the guy from, he has a show on YouTube, a podcast, I Will Teach You How to Be Rich. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't know how I tripped on it, but it's really interesting watching. You're basically watching a couple bare their souls around their finances, and to see like some of the deep-seated like where they got their money psychology from, and they unpack it. And it has just helped me realize like we all have this stuff that we bring into our adulthood, and a lot of it revolves around money. And I'd highly recommend he's got the same name, I Will Teach You How to Be Rich, is the name of his book. Also The Psychology of Money. And just letting that thing out of the bag and telling a group like this, you know, I think is really, really powerful. Yeah, profit first is good. Profit first, though, without the psychology part figured out. We want to make sure the psychology part is figured out, and bring some of this to the Monday call. You know, this is where like nobody shares truth like this. So you sharing your truth on this thing with a group like this, where we all think everyone has all their shit figured out. They don't. I promise you there's 10, 20 people on here that are at least not where they want to be financially, or have negative net worth and have shame around their finances. And nobody talks about it, especially in our industry where we have everything figured out. Right. So keep bringing this up, keep challenging me on the Monday calls, we're going to get you out of the habits that got you there. We're going to get you out of them, going forward, but that's really, really good. Financial Peace is good too. I'm not a big Dave Ramsey fan, but Financial Peace is a Yeah, so Shauna went through that. Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks to all. Appreciate that, Jeff. Hosting a lead generating event 2 times a month for a year. I don't know what a lead generating event is, but it sounds cool. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you hanging in there with me with a little bit of off the rails in the beginning. We have about half the crew here that we did about a half hour ago. So I know some of you drifted off, but I appreciate you guys doing the work today. I love all of you. I pray for all of you. I respect all of you for being in an industry it is hard, especially when mentally, like, you let the stuff get to you and you know how the world's going to end and nobody's going to sell or buy houses anymore. And it's like, what am I doing in real estate? Like, I'm stupid, you know, but we're going to win big in this market because we're not going to succumb to all that stuff. Right. So we're here for you guys. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. I will be on here next week, even though I'm at EXPCon. I will be hosting this, and it's going to be a follow-on to this one. So this was goal achievement. Next week is going to be around productivity. So it's going to be a similar conversation. So all of you, I struggle with, like, how do we actually do the things on a consistent basis that align with the goals that we're setting to actually get us the results that we want to get. So do not miss next week. It's a special. I could have bowed out and figured out an excuse to not do it while I was in Vegas, but I'm going to make it happen. So I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see you guys then. Much love, much respect. See you guys. Bye.